Patriarchy, characterized by male dominance and the prioritization of masculine values, profoundly impacts most Koreans' lives. Today, we seek to understand, question, and uncover its origin and trajectory in Korean society. South Korea's rapid economic and technological progress has not been accompanied by similar advancements in gender equality. Many recent articles on South Korean culture highlight the pressure Koreans face to conform to toxic beauty standards and engage in extreme dieting to appear desirable. In Korean society, being above 45 kilograms is often considered overweight.
Wow.
Referred to as the world's plastic surgery capital, it is common for girls to receive gifts of eyelid surgery or procedures to reshape their noses and jaw for their 17th birthday. With support from their parents, there are no limits to how far they can go to alter their appearance. The prevalence of plastic surgery is such that 1 in every 5 Korean women has undergone such procedures, compared to 1 in 20 in the United States. The popularity of cosmetic surgery attracted approximately 450,000 foreign patients in 2018 alone, making the beauty business in South Korea worth $11 billion. Unfortunately, this culture has also given rise to a phenomenon known as ghost surgery. Ghost surgery occurs when the person performing the procedure, often a dentist or nurse, replaces the hired surgeon while the patient is under anesthesia. According to the Korean Society of Plastic Surgeons, between 2008 and 2014, South Korea saw approximately 100,000 victims of ghost surgery. While some may perceive Korean women's dedication to rigid beauty standards as superficial, it is important to recognize that their livelihoods can be dependent on meeting these expectations. This is why they go to great lengths, including undergoing plastic surgery and adhering to rigorous diets. You see, South Korea is a highly educated country with a literacy rate of 97.97% as of 2022. This means that almost everyone has the necessary qualifications for a limited number of jobs. However, due to the patriarchal nature of Korean society, men often outnumber women in the highly competitive job market. As a result, women often feel the need to rely on their appearance to stand out and increase their chances of getting hired. A survey conducted in 2006 revealed that 80% of public companies in Korea require personal information, including photos, during job applications. Additionally, 92% of women expect to face discrimination based on their appearance during job interviews. This pressure to conform often leads to the consideration of plastic surgery as a means to be more competitive. Despite the qualifications and skills possessed by Korean women, male supremacy continues to prevail in various aspects of modern Korean society. The gender pay gap remains a significant issue, with Korean men consistently earning up to 31% more than women for the past 26 years. This exceeds the 13% average gender pay gap among developed countries. Furthermore, Korean women are often found in low-paying, non-regular jobs and are less likely to be promoted to higher managerial positions in the workplace. One might wonder why companies don't just hire more women if they earn significantly less. However, the reality is that major corporations like Samsung and Hyundai have a much higher percentage of male employees compared to female employees. For instance, at Samsung, the ratio is 74% male and 26% female, while at Hyundai, it's 89% male and 11% female. In contrast, companies like Walmart, America's biggest conglomerate, have a more balanced gender ratio of 45% male to 55% female. South Korean women are known for having high levels of educational attainment compared to women in other developed countries, yet they face limited employment opportunities. This results in a significant waste of skills and knowledge. Gender discrimination in the workplace plays a significant role in restricting opportunities for women. For example, in 2018, 3 of Korea's financial companies, KB Kookmin, Kaeb Hana, and Shinhan Bank, were found guilty of manipulating the exam results of female applicants in favor of men. These banks were also among the 6 domestic banks that were fined $15 million for not meeting the government's requirement to hire people with disabilities in 2022. The low participation of Korean women in the workforce can also be attributed to employers' fears of work disruption when women prioritize raising children. This discrimination and inequality have led to the rise of radical aspects within the country's feminist movement. These issues are not only affecting the current generation, but are also impacting the younger generation. Some young individuals have joined the feminist movement known as 4B, or 4 No's, which stands for no dating, no sex, no marriage, and no childbearing. This movement reflects the frustration and outrage over gender inequality in Korean society. Gender inequality in Korea emerged in the 1980s when prominent women's rights organizations began addressing issues such as rape, domestic abuse, and sex trafficking. Over time, there has been a feminism reboot with the adoption of more radical perspectives. These perspectives often portray women as potential victims and men as potential perpetrators. Feminist websites such as Megalia and Womod have become platforms where Korean women express strong hatred towards men, with feminists even sharing posts about intentionally aborting male babies to oust the male population. In Korea, the word feminist carries a strong stigma because it has been solely associated with hating men. Additionally, the current president of South Korea, Yoon Suk-yeol, openly denies the existence of gender inequality and has expressed his intention to abolish the Ministry of Gender Equality. He believes that feminism is responsible for the country's extremely low birth rate, which currently stands at a record low of 0.78 children per woman. Around 800 organizations are currently opposing the closure of this ministry, highlighting its importance in addressing gender-related issues. Over 90% of Korean men in their 20s hold anti-feminist views, while 79% feel they face significant gender-based discrimination. They often criticize feminism by pointing to men's mandatory 18-month military duty, emphasizing their contributions to the country and the perceived lack of recognition they receive. They also express frustration about having to compete with women in the workforce after completing their military service. In Korean society, women are typically expected to take on the primary role in raising children, while men are expected to demonstrate their economic capabilities. As a result, men believe they should have an advantage in the economy due to their responsibilities and circumstances. In 2018, a K-pop idol named Irene, who is a member of the group Red Velvet, faced considerable backlash for publicly sharing about reading the novel Kim Ji-young, born in 1982. The book explores the life of a Korean woman in her 30s, whose journey reflects the experiences of many modern-day Koreans. She goes through the typical path of attending university, finding a job, getting married, and becoming a stay-at-home mother. When the film adaptation was released in 2019, it received a rating of 9.5 from women, but only 2.8 from men, which sparked controversy. Another incident that caused a stir was when a Korean female professional archer, An-san, despite winning 3 Olympic gold medals in Tokyo, faced harsh criticism for having short hair and was labeled a feminist. However, as the critics grew, so did a movement to defend her. Thousands of women joined in by sharing photos of themselves with short hair, proudly proclaiming that their appearance did not diminish their womanhood. In 2018, Son Na-ing, a member of the K-pop group A-Pink, faced significant criticism for having a phone case that read "Girls Can Do Anything," which was interpreted by fans as a feminist statement. Today, it remains a challenge to overcome the deeply rooted belief in Korean society that women are inferior to men. However, it's crucial to understand that gender roles are just one part of this system, and the impact of Korean patriarchy goes beyond assigning specific roles to men and women. Other aspects, like extramarital affairs and domestic violence, can also be seen as elements of this system within Korean society. Before we go any further, let us take a look at the Confucian doctrine. Confucius, a Chinese philosopher and the founder of Confucianism, emphasized the importance of a social hierarchy to maintain a balanced society. The adoption of Confucianism in Korea took place during the Joseon dynasty in 1390 AD and was guided by 2 key teachings. The first is the obedience, which required women to obey their fathers before marriage, their husbands after marriage, and their first sons after the death of their husbands. The second aspect is the 4 virtues, which emphasize morality, using polite language, behaving modestly, and working diligently. This doctrine has had a significant influence on shaping modern-day Korea. According to Sylvia Walby's work on theorizing patriarchy, sexuality and violence are identified as significant forms of control within patriarchal societies. In Korean society, gender norms dictated by patriarchy grant male supremacy and authority within the family, which often leads to physical violence when conflicts arise at home. Shockingly, a government study in Korea found that 1 in every 3 women has experienced violence, mostly perpetrated by their current or former intimate partners. It is disheartening to note that around 62% of violence against women in Korea occurs within intimate relationships. Sadly, many of these cases go unreported to the police due to women's fears of potential harm from the perpetrators if they were to report the incidents. Also, a recent study conducted by the Korean Women's Development Institute revealed that up to 91% of Koreans believe that domestic violence only refers to harm inflicted by a husband on his wife and not the other way around. This skewed perception stems from the prevailing male supremacy in Korean society, which makes women more vulnerable. Consequently, the country's support system for domestic violence victims primarily focuses on female victims, neglecting the needs of other victims. Statistics indicate that more than half of Korean men have engaged in extramarital affairs, whereas only 9% of women have done the same. This discrepancy is partly influenced by Confucianist beliefs, which consider it acceptable for men, especially those in high-status positions, to have affairs while frowning upon such behavior from women. Another contentious aspect related to infidelity in Korea is that approximately 40% of men do not view purchasing sex as an act of infidelity, compared to 15% of women who share the same perspective. The book, If I Had Your Face, by Francis Che, touches on an aspect of the extramarital affairs of wealthy Korean men. I recommend checking it out for a better understanding. Hallyu, also known as the Korean Wave, refers to the immense popularity of South Korean culture, including K-pop and K-dramas. Among the 157 million Hallyu fans worldwide, approximately 18 million are from the United States, accounting for 6% of the total. China and Japan, on the other hand, each make up 30% of the fan base. Korean dramas have a captivating and addictive quality, with concise storylines typically spanning 6 to 20 episodes. The romanticization of K-dramas is a noteworthy aspect that cannot be overlooked. The male characters in these dramas are portrayed as incredibly enchanting and romantic, which stems from the imaginations of the writers. Since these dramas are often written by Korean women, they reflect their own fantasies and ideals. Additionally, K-dramas often emphasize themes of women's empowerment, serving as an escape from reality. There is a saying that the greater the fantasy, the darker the reality, which holds some truth. Many of the most romantic works are created by individuals who have experienced deep sadness or depression. For instance, Lee Se-yoon, the writer of True Beauty, revealed that she drew inspiration from her own experiences, and that the main characters embody her ideal types. In this way, the imagination compensates for what cannot be attained in reality. It's important to recognize that while the excessive romanticization of K-dramas can be enticing, it may overshadow the presence of a genuinely patriarchal culture prevalent in Korean society. These patriarchal tendencies often surface in real-life relationships and should not be overlooked or underestimated. The Korea depicted in romantic K-dramas is not a reflection of reality, so perceiving male leads in K-dramas as realistic is a misconception. Indeed, it would be ideal if a country filled with people like those depicted in K-dramas actually existed. However, it doesn't, and I also hope that by watching this video you can have a better understanding of the reality of it. Korea is like any other country, with regular people and a unique culture. If you remain trapped in your fantasy world, Korea might become one of those places you'd love to visit, but wouldn't necessarily want to live in. The strong emphasis of the Korean feminist movement on opposing males often results in the exclusion of men, making it difficult for them to connect with the movement. This creates a perception of a battle between men and women, which hinders Korea's progress toward gender equality. Consequently, the country seems to be lagging behind in addressing social issues like gender equality, giving the impression of being stuck in the past. However, in August 2022, a new law was passed requiring listed companies with assets exceeding $1.5 billion to appoint at least one woman director. Samsung Electronics took the lead by appointing its first female president, Mrs. Lee Young-hee. Other major corporations such as Hyundai, SKT, LG, and Naver have also taken similar steps. This measure aims to reduce the male dominance in executive positions, which stood at 95% in 2022. In Korea, there is an online community called Dachigo Cheop, where job seekers share their photos and seek feedback on how their appearance may affect their job prospects. This is coupled with a recent survey revealing that up to 50% of employers have rejected applicants solely based on their looks, disregarding their qualifications on paper. In response, the Korean government proposed a law promoting blind hiring practices, where resumes would not include photos or questions about an applicant's personal background. However, many Koreans still express concerns about facing similar challenges during the interview stage. Efforts to promote equal opportunities and address unfairness in Korean society are continuously underway. Advocacy and societal changes play crucial roles in these endeavors. However, I have serious doubts about the effectiveness of the progress, especially considering the country's current anti-feminist president. It pushes the question, how can the government fix a problem it won't acknowledge exists? Nevertheless, I believe that while men and women may have physical differences that we need to accept, we are equal in spirit. There are circumstances where we must rely on each other, and this understanding should be considered common sense, although it is hard to come by in today's world.